Thanks for clicking, and in today's lesson we are going to talk about grammar. First of all, please have a look at these sentences. Try to translate them into English and note which problem do you face in all these sentences. Which specific feature of these sentences make them difficult to translate? Well, hope you've noticed that none of these sentences has the subject. In the Russian language, as we all know fairly well, and as these sentences show us, it's absolutely okay to have a sentence without subject. But English is different. It doesn't allow us to make a sentence with no subject. So what can we do if we don't know who exactly did the action, or just we want to concentrate on the action itself, not on the person who did it? In such situations, we use a special grammatical structure called passive voice, or the passive. What is it? Well, to find out, let's simply have a look at the word. What does it mean to be passive? Not to do anything. So, passive voice is a special structure that shows the subject was passive. When we make the sentence in the passive, we show that the subject was not the performer of the action, but the object of the influence. The subject didn't do anything, but something was done to the subject. And when do we use it? Well, firstly, and that's very easy to understand, we use the passive when the performer of the action is unknown, as if my car was stolen. I have no idea who did it. Or when the performer is unimportant, as the books will be delivered tomorrow. I don't care who exactly will deliver the book. The only thing important is that the books will be available for me. Or when the performer is obvious. The sick is being operated on at the moment. It's obvious that doctors and not teachers or drivers are operating on the sick. But the other situation looks like the opposite. We can use the passive when we are highlighting the importance of the doer of the action. But in this case, of course, we do mention the performer in the sentence using the preposition by. As in the example, this book was written by Jane Austen, or this film was directed by Steven Spielberg, or this shop was built by Princess Diana, etc., etc. The next important issue is, of course, formation of the passive. First of all, you should remember that there are all the same tenses and non-personal verb forms in the passive, just like in the active. The other question is that not all of them are often used, of course. There are lots of these structures which cannot be used or are very seldom used. But anyway, you can form all the tenses. And to see how we can do it, study the examples and try to work out the rule yourself. In the active, we say, Helen opened the door. This is in the passive, it becomes, the door was opened when I came. I came and saw the door is not closed, it's open. They are discussing the problem now. Whereas in the passive we say the problem is being discussed. I will have written the essay because the essay will have been written. She must clean the room because the guests are coming soon, versus the rooms must be cleaned. So, I hope you've worked out the general rule that to form any verb form in the passive, we put the verb in this form of the active voice and the main verb in the past participle, in the third form. So the main verb is never changed in the passive. It is always in the past participle. All the grammatical functions are shown by the auxiliary verb to be. Any tense is formed according to this general rule. And let's see how this works in some most important and most often used tenses. See, present simple. I hope you all remember the forms of the present simple of the verb to be are is, am, are. So in the present simple passive we have is, am, are plus the third form. The work is done. Somebody does this work every weekend, for instance. The work is done every weekend. Past simple. What are the forms of the verb to be in the past simple? I hope you remember they are was and were. So in the past simple passive we have was, were plus the third form. The work was done last week. Somebody did this work last week. Future simple. Will be is the form of the verb to be in this tense. So future simple passive is will be plus past participle. The work will be done tomorrow. Somebody will do this work tomorrow. Present continuous or present progressive. We form the present continuous with is and are plus inform. We put the verb to be in this tense and we have is and are being. So to form present continuous passive we use is and are being plus the past participle. The work is being done right now. Somebody is doing this work at this moment. Past continuous is formed with was, were plus the in form. If we put the verb to be in this tense, we have was, were, being. So consequently, to form a past continuous passive, we need was, were, being plus the third form. The work was being done when I came. Somebody was doing this work. Present perfect is formed with have, has plus the past participle. The past participle of the verb to be is, as you hopefully remember, been. So, to form present perfect passive, we need have or has been plus the third form of the main verb. The work has been done. Someone has done this work already. Past perfect is the same thing, but we use had instead of has or have to show that it's a past. So, had been plus the third form of the main verb. The work had been done when I came. Future perfect is again the same thing, but this time we use will have to show that it's the future. Will have been plus the past participle of the main verb. The work will have been done by next week. So, I hope you've understood this general rule. We put the verb to be in any tense and add the past participle of the main verb. The same rule works to form the passive form of the modals. The modal verb itself plus the bare infinitive be plus the third form of the main verb. The problem must be solved. Somebody, and I don't care who exactly, must solve this problem immediately. Next thing I'd like to show you is how to change active into passive. But before we exactly study the issue, let's think about what for do we need this? Well, mostly to make our speech sound more formal. Almost any active sentence can be changed into passive. How we do this, let's study using the example. We have a very easy, simple, active sentence. Alexander Bell invented the telephone. The first question we should ask ourselves is who or what was the object of the influence? Who or was changed after the action? And in this sentence, it's obviously the telephone. So, the telephone will become a subject of the passive sentence. Next, what about the verb? We study the tense, and in this sentence, I hope you see the verb is in past simple, so we need to form the same tense but in the passive voice. Hope you remember, past simple passive is was, were plus past participle. So we put the telephone was invented. And what about Alexander Bell? What about the subject of the active sentence? Well, in some cases, we can omit the agent of the action. But in this case, and in many other cases, we need to mention the doer, the performer of the action. And we do this in the end of the sentence using the preposition by. The telephone was invented by Alexander Bell. Mind you, we use by only to mention the doer, the performer of the action. The house was built by my grandfather. 200 people are employed by this company. And when we need to show the instruments, we use the preposition with. Meat should be cut with a knife. Food in Japan is eaten with chopsticks, and so on. So, that's all for now. If you feel like having some practice, use the attached files with the word exercises and the links to the exercises online. Good luck with your English. Goodbye.